Hey everybody, welcome to the Ground Effect podcast, where we dive into the heart of Formula One, bringing you the latest news, insider analysis, and sharing our thoughts on the motorsport we love. So come and join us, G and Mick, as we look forward to what promises to be an exciting 2025 Formula One season. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Ground Effect podcast. On today's show, we're going to discuss everything regarding the latest 2025 Formula One launch. Now, not alongside me today, as he's currently enjoying a nice little holiday break down under. Mick, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. Good to be here. An exciting event, I think, by Formula One. I think they did a really good job. You know, lots to talk about. Cool to see all the car liveries in one place as opposed to being spread out over a month. So, yeah, it was definitely nice to get the first look at the colour schemes and then, you know, later on worry about what the cars actually look like on the technical side of things.
And it was a nice early morning start for you, I believe, 4 a.m.?
Yeah, 4 a.m. So I did manage to wake up.
Was it worth it?
I think it was cool. The whole concept's cool. And again, like I just mentioned earlier, it's a good way to showcase all the colour schemes for the year. Because let's face it, month of February, we're all sitting around waiting for car launches and being spread out. You know, you would have one car, say, on the 15th, and then you wouldn't have another car launch until the 20th. And then maybe on the 18th, you'd have two car launches. And I think it's a good way, because most people are only looking to see the colour schemes for that year, you know. You know, the hardcore guys are looking what the car looks like, the technical upgrades. But for the majority of people, they want to see what's Ferrari going to look like this year? What's the Mercedes looking like this year? What colour's Red Bull?
Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe they would surprise us, but clearly they didn't. But yeah, I think that's a great point that you make it was purely just a livery car launch. So obviously the tech heads, you know, haven't gotten to see the little bits hanging off the cars, etc. But I think the general consensus has been it's been a positive one, and I think it was definitely a great event put on by the F1. Draw, you know, a few little cringy moments, etc. But come on, I think a highlight for plenty of people out there was the booing of the FIA.
That was definitely a highlight. Definitely a big talking point. Not a fan of booing, but
I think it was rightfully deserved.
Yeah, that's a clear message. It's a clear message. You're not the most favourite people in the world, and you know, there's plenty of reasons for that. Gordon Ramsay's little, if the shit hits the fan, while he's sitting at the FIA table, people have spoken. Just leave him be, man.
We've breached it before just regarding the swearing rules that are coming and those, you know, silly little things. But on the whole, yeah, I think definitely a great event. And it's something that it would be nice, I think, if they continued on, like, through the upcoming years. And you know, at this point in time, it was purely just a special event for the 75th anniversary. But I think the consensus is out there that I think most people enjoyed the show.
I mean, it was a spectacle, man. I thought they did a really good job. Probably exceeded my expectations. And like you said, it's definitely something I feel that we should do every year, but maybe do it, you know, in a different city every year. And I think we spoke off there. The fact that it was on YouTube, free. Amazing. That's something, you know, Formula One would have never done back in the day. And it's a good way to get eyeballs on the sport. Okay, you may not get people interested in the racing, but getting people looking at Formula One, which is the sport's exploding at the moment. And something like that only helps.
Yeah, and a good point. Just free. Wasn't behind a paywall. So access to everybody, which was nice. Now to kick things off, and no pun intended, Kick Sauber. I mean, they started the night off. Looking pretty good with a, you know, pretty striking green on the front of the car.
Yeah, the Hulk in the Hulkmobile. Definitely their best livery so far. Like the fluoro green fade into the black at the back of the car. It looks fast. It looks stealthy. For me, it's their best one so far.
Probably the last we see of the green before they move towards Audi.
That's the last livery you're going to remember, not the horrible two before.
Agree. Definitely agree. And Williams, off air, you are a big fan of what they've done with the blue. They've got a new big title sponsor with Atlassian. Looking good. What do you think of this one?
You even mentioned it in one of the previous episodes that, having someone like Carlos Sainz there is going to bring a title sponsor. A week later, boom, title sponsor. I think for me, this is probably one of my favorites. I don't know why I love that blue, the rear of the bodywork, and then fades into the dark. But with the black wings, the white decals, little Duracell battery, I don't know, there's just something about it. It looks good. It's probably the best livery they've had in the last 5 or 6 years. Since they went to the blue, I think this is definitely their best one.
Yeah, agree. I'm a sucker for their old liveries from the late 80s into the 90s. The good old blue, white, and yellow Canon red number 5 with Nigel Mansell. Always been a big fan of that. But yeah, I agree. Since I've gone into this sort of predominantly blue livery design, it's definitely the best of the bunch, and really looking forward to Williams with what they do this year with that driver lineup. Very, very interesting to see that inter-team battle. Now, moving on to Racing Bulls, and now for me personally, I thought this was the probably the best livery on display, but it's probably a bias of mine. I really do like white cars. They just seem to pop because just the last few seasons of Formula One, we just seem to have really sort of dark colors on the grid, and particularly with the underbody, with a lot of that carbon, which remains black. I just find that the cars tend to be just too dark. So nice little design here that I feel for the Racing Bulls just really does pop.
I agree. You can't beat a white race car. Everyone's saying, it's got that 2021 Japanese RB feel about it, which it does. The colours are very HRC, very Honda. It's definitely good to see one team step outside the box. And I think they nailed it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks good. I just want to backtrack you on that. What did you say? You said racing cars faster and wide or something along those lines?
I don't know if they're faster.
You can't beat a white car, because I was about to, I'm sure there's a lot of Ferrari fans out there that definitely disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, I don't know if they're faster, but you can't beat a white race car. White cars look cool, especially with black wheels.
Definitely. And poor Yuki got a little bit of a roasting with the presenter at the time, telling them to double time with those short legs. So a little bit of a roast on poor little Yuki there.
Yeah, Yuki, the little jockey.
The little jockey. Well, maybe he's got a career after Formula One racing horses.
He's definitely the same size as a jockey. He's probably a little bit quicker than a jockey.
Huge year for Yuki this year. He really needs to. We've preached this before. We know he belongs in Formula One. He's done well. He's gotten better every year, but naturally he has something to prove to the Red Bull hierarchy. That's for sure for this year. Now on to Haas. They always, they've got a great color. The red, the black, and the white always can work well. And I always feel like Haas, generally, their liveries come out. I feel like they could do a lot better.
That's their colors though, right? Red, white, and black, but differently every year. The way they've done it this year has a real Toyota Gazoo Racing feel about it. Obviously with new tie-up with Gazoo Racing. Again, same, but different.
Yep. And how do you think they're going to go this year, huh? Ollie Behrman. I mean, he came out, he looked absolutely flabbergasted by the atmosphere in the arena. He just, you could read his lips, just the big wow. So, homeboy Behrman looked like he was really enjoying the night.
What a way to come into Formula One. I mean, it must be pretty surreal, let alone going to drive a Formula One car, but then you're in the middle of this big show. I think they're going to do all right, I guess. If they can keep up that form they had last year, then there's definitely no reason why they can't fight for 5th or 6th.
They can unlock a little bit more, then it would be quite a fruitful 2025. Now, Alpine. I thought Alpine, I've never been a big fan of pink, and I just find pink seems to work really difficult, particularly that style pink that they use, because it's not sort of like a highlighted or, really fluorescent type pink. But I think they've done a really good job here with the blue that they've used, and just it looks good. Looking good for me.
For me, at first I was like, the pink on the nose would have been better if they just went blue all the way and then the black wing. But it's grown on me. I love that colour blue that Alpine used. It looks cool. It's cool. It's definitely going to pop under lights.
Yeah, actually that will look nice under lights. Definitely on some of these night races, that's for sure. So Aston Martin, I mean, we weren't surprised. They went with a Bond 007 theme as the entry for the drivers. We know we weren't going to get much of a change. I mean, they're very traditional with their British racing green. But the car looks tidy. Doesn't look in my mind, it doesn't look too different to previous years.
It's very same but different. For me, it's very Aston Martin. Like, I mean, you could go and watch this launch and then go and watch the launch of an Aston Martin road car, and it would be very similar. Very Aston Martin brand, which is cool.
I see Lance Stroll release his helmet yesterday. I saw an Instagram post. Looking pretty good, predominantly green as well, the whole helmet. So new helmet, maybe a new driver. Again, big season for Aston. A bit of a funny one. Obviously, Adrian Newey's coming on board. Does he throw any development into the 2025 car, or does it just go straight into 2026? We've previously discussed that, so that'll be sort of interesting to see how that plays out for Aston. But otherwise, same from Aston on brand point. Now, moving on to Mercedes. Now, I thought Mercedes, I loved they've used a little bit of like a satin matte finish in parts of the car, which I think highlight, or at least sort of make the car pop a little bit more. Obviously it's predominantly black with the sort of teal through it as previous cars have been. But yeah, looking pretty good.
That silver and black looks sleek. One thing I do like is, I don't know whether they're going to have it on for testing or once the season starts, the red Ineos on the roll hoop made it look super sleek, looks super aggressive. I like the fact that they've gone to the white stars on the bodywork as opposed to the silver. They pop out more, as we kind of expected. Same, but different.
Yeah, interesting point about Ineos. I believe they are part shareholders in the team. It seems like they've been pulling out on some of their sporting deals around the world with some of the sporting organizations that they back. Now, there were sort of some rumors coming out yesterday regarding Ineos and whether they were going to continue or be bought out their stake within the Mercedes Formula One team. Apparently, that is not the case. But it definitely looks like Ineos, the actual from a sponsorship perspective on the car, is taking a little bit of a back seat. But I agree, taking away that red on the roll hoop and just blending it into the car with the current color, it definitely looks cleaner, that's for sure. And another thing to note is the racing suits. 3 stripes on the shoulders, so no more Tommy Hilfiger onto Adidas.
Team suits look cool. The merch looks okay to me. I'm not a massive fan of the stripes on the shoulders, but obviously, you've got brands paying the money to be there. It's quite interesting. Like, I didn't see any Adidas sponsorship on the car.
No, yeah, neither did I. But generally, the clothing sponsors tend to be sort of like minor when it comes to the car. I think they sort of pop more, obviously, on the suit naturally, which makes sense. Now, Red Bull, they were one of the only teams that didn't allow their drivers to speak. What do we make of that?
No, it was interesting because after it happened, I was sort of checking the socials to get a feel of, the event and everything. And there was a lot of talk about, Red Bull were cut off by Ferrari, typical British media, blah, 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 blah. But if you actually notice, the drivers didn't come out with microphones. And they were the only drivers not to have microphones in their hand when they walked out onto stage. So it was a clear intent from Red Bull not to have them speak. Apart from that, the only difference is Liam Lawson's haircut.
Yeah, so new hairdo for Liam Lawson. So shout out to the barber. I think you've done a pretty good job. He definitely looks a little bit better.
I'd love to have that much hair.
100%, a little bit of jealousy there. Definitely. Yeah, Red Bull, same. I mean, they haven't really done anything different to their cars for a long time besides, a few like one-off liveries at different races, which is a little bit ironic because Red Bull always sort of term themselves as being sort of like the edgy brand of Formula One and doing things that aren't so corporate and being a little bit more party. I mean, we got that with the intro with a lot of people just jumping and gyrating around in the background. But yeah, I mean, I still would love to see Red Bull do something a little bit different, but hey, they might surprise us still yet. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, they might come out with one during the year. Just before we move on, quick question. What did you make of their whole "this year's about car culture" kind of vibe, the message that they were sending?
It was all right. I mean, for me personally, I just want to see the car. It's just, good old marketing. I just purely just want to see the car. I want to see how it looks. I just want to see him on the racetrack. Now on to Ferrari. So biggest chair of the night, homeboy Hamilton, no doubt. You're not going to get too surprised by a Ferrari. It's going to be red. Looking pretty decent. I think the big white stripe down the back of just over the roll hoop and then down over the top of the side pods. Yeah, say so, but I guess it makes sense with that big blue HP logo.
again, I think this is one that's going to grow on you the more and more you see it. Kind of expected more white, given that when they released their team shirts and stuff, it had there was more white on it than say last year with the yellow. I probably wasn't expecting so much white.
Yeah.
I prefer the way they did the HP logo last year, where it was just the blue HP logo without white. But again, not paying the big bucks, we don't get to decide. Once you start to see the car on track, you'll just get used to it and it'll grow on you.
Yeah, and hopefully it will, Hopefully Hamilton can, get up there and fight with Leclerc and get a few wins under the belt, maybe challenge for the World Championship. But, and I'm loving Lewis's helmet. I mean, the yellow helmet on the red driver suit, damn good. Now, McLaren, I thought they could have done something a little bit more out there this year. That's what I thought. I did like their presentation. I love how they had some of the old championship-winning cars out there. I thought that was a really nice touch, being the defending Constructors champion. But yeah, we haven't seen too much of a change as far as the car dynamic. I have heard some pretty good arguments regarding that, and from the perspective of, when you have a world championship winning car, it becomes quite iconic. When we think back of some of these cars with McLaren, you think of obviously the Marlboro era with the red and white car, and then you think of, West McLaren in the late 90s, and then onto the Vodafone McLaren. Probably not a bad thing. They sort of kept it as it is. I mean, they're definitely going to challenge for this year. But again, I'm a bit of a stickler for, having some new liveries. So yeah, a little disappointed.
I mean, Adrian Stella, I think he said on the night, we kept it the same because we wanted to pay homage to last year's car. I thought it was awesome that they had all those old cars with the new car. I thought that was really cool. Completely new livery. I guess you'd save it for 2026, right? The new car, the new regulations, and just make it completely different.
But otherwise, it looks fine. It looks fine. I mean, it's nice to see McLaren over the last particularly last season, enjoying success, and you're starting to see some, the sponsors come on board. Because I remember, was it only a few years ago where they basically no sort of sponsors on the car. Car was struggling, became a bit of a joke, really, and Zach Brown's done a great job to turn it around in just a matter of a few years. So big one for them this year. They naturally want the drivers' title as well to go alongside the constructors. It's going to be a tricky one. I mean, they've got two fantastic young drivers that have both potential. So if they've got the car under them, it's going to be a good fight between them.
Naturally, success brings sponsors. I'm sure Monaco will probably see iteration of that livery. I think, was it last year in Monaco? Did they have the chrome?
Which team did the Golf livery for Monaco? Was that McLaren or was that Williams?
That was Williams, I think. McLaren have done a Golf style livery, but I'm pretty sure it was Williams that went Golf livery last year. But again, there'll be at some point they'll do an iteration of it. Might be chrome or white or who knows. Special liveries for Miami. They might do one for Las Vegas. Some will do one for Monaco. There'll be little iterations. These liveries might get tweaked as well because of the different body shapes, the different fins here and there, so there might be little tweaks.
Yeah, naturally also the sponsorships, things change over the course of the year with sponsors and, what sort of branding that the sponsors want on the car, which will obviously, change things regarding the actual aesthetics of the car as well. So yeah, lots of little things to look forward to. Yeah, big season 2025 almost upon us.
A good way to start the season, I think. Help build the excitement, get everyone interested. Now the real pre-season start. We go to Bahrain next week. It's all good having a really cool livery, but you've got to be able to match that on track. And tech heads like ourselves, we get to see what the cars really look like now. The little intricacies, changes in bodywork here and there. Obviously, again, last year the regulations probably not going to change too much, but there'll be quite a few changes under the bodywork.
Yeah, so under a week, 26th of February, next Wednesday, I believe, Bahrain. So plenty of things to look forward to. The season's starting to gear up now, which is nice. What have we got? 3 weeks and we're actually on track racing in Melbourne.
It's starting to heat up now. Just cool to see the cars on track. You're not going to see too much on representative times. You might get the odd hot lap here and there. I don't think it's going to tell us too much. I think Q3 Melbourne will know where everyone sort of stands, I guess. But it's exciting, and I'm definitely looking forward to watching the cars go around in Bahrain. It should be good.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's you never know who's sandbagging at testing or who's really pushing hard. But I guess one thing that's always really important is just knowing the reliability of the cars. So that's always been a thing for most seasons where you see who gets the laps on the track, who seems to be stuck in the pits and mucking around with things. So yeah, quite a quick turnaround from testing. So yeah, 2 weeks from testing that we're back on the track.
Exactly. We'll do a complete rundown of testing and then move on to preview of the Melbourne Grand Prix. Can't wait. Should be good. We'll be back next week, like I just mentioned, with a pre-season review. We'll speak to you then.
Catch you all later.
Laters.